See Brown in your face.
Have you heard of Everything at Once?
Do you know about Everything at Once?
It's internationally known.
Aliens listen to it.
It's the best ever.
If there's something you're looking for in the 814, or feeling a little bored and think there ain't no more, check out Everything at Once and allow it to be your source. It's that raw podcast that's always showing support, highlighting the scene. No need to take I-90 to Peep or 79 to see how it be. Interviewing your locals with mindsets that are global. Innovators and creators on every single upload. So much going on in the EPA.
Incredible content.
Everything at Once will keep you up to date.
Amazing guests.
What you doing? Come through and hang with Tony and Dave.
Community driven.
Bringing everything at once from around the way. Everything at once from around the way. Hey.
Please listen. We love you. Everything at Once.
Everything at Once.
Hey, Dave, you ready for another podcast?
Yeah, I guess.
Dang, man, you sure you feeling okay?
I don't know. I've just been tired and sluggish lately, and I just can't seem to get any energy.
You really should have seen our last guest, Shantae. When she was here, she could have given you some direction. She's a board-certified doctor of natural medicine.
Do you think it's too late?
Nah, man, you could give her a call. Her practice is called Sacred Divine Femininity.
Sounds like that's for girls.
It's not, man. She treats guys and girls. She takes a holistic approach towards health and well-being.
You know, I think I'm going to give her a call.
That's a good idea, dude.
Hey, Tony, what's up, bud?
Wow, Dave, you're looking a lot better.
I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you so much for getting me in contact with Shantae.
Yeah, Sacred Divine Femininity really seems like it did the trick for you.
It really did. I'm ready to do the best podcast ever.
Let's do it.
Yeah!
It's time to introduce this show.
The best show on the face of the planet.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in today. We want to thank our Patreon producers, Brian G., Josh W., Ian D., Nick G., and Sadie M.
Patreon, it's an awesome way to support the show and say thanks. You can become a Patreon supporter by clicking the link below and choosing to be an intern, assistant, or producer level supporter.
If being on the production team is too much pressure for you, you can also send any contributions using our Venmo at Everything at Once Studios. We now want to thank all the local businesses who supported this episode. These businesses get the Everything at Once stamp of approval and are critical members of the Everything at Once community. We couldn't do it without them. With winter approaching, are there any last-minute details that you want to change or renovate around your home?
I might, but you know who to call.
Yeah! Ghostbusters!
No, Tony. No, not Ghostbusters. Solid State Construction.
Oh, yeah. Solid State.
Yeah.
Duh. Solid State takes pride in all their home remodeling projects. Solid State specializes in bathroom remodeling, kitchen renovation, window and door installation, custom design work, and more, including painting, flooring, drywall, sidewalk, decks. Get your free quote today by calling Nick at 814-397-7854. Solid people, solid product, Solid State Construction.
You know, Tony, with all these renovations from Solid State, I think we might have kicked up some bad energy around here. Yeah, oh yeah. Luckily, we know just the people to go see.
I know it this time. It's Ghostbusters.
No, Tony! Our friends at Cauldron and Thorne!
Wow. I feel really dumb right now, and I can't believe I didn't think of Cauldron and Thorne, the world's largest witchcraft and metaphysical shop, with everything a person needs to channel the spirit world.
Practice some self-care.
Find enlightenment.
Curse your enemies.
Protect yourself from your enemies.
Bless your friends.
Cleanse your space from negative energies. You can check out all the magical wares available at for these different practices we all love and enjoy at Cauldron and Thorne, 2724 West 8th Street, or online at cauldronandthorne.com.
This week, we have an incredible guest for you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Everything at Once. Me and Dave here, as always, and today we have a special guest in her full sash, Miss Pennsylvania Earth USA.
That's
USA
correct.
Earth.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It's
Also
good to see
known
you
as
guys.
Haley.
Yes, also known as Haley.
You do have a normal name,
I do.
not just Miss Pennsylvania. That's what I call you when people are like, or when I'm telling people about this podcast.
Yeah. Hey, who do we have on at the end of the month? Miss Pennsylvania. He wasn't like Haley. He was like Miss Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's super cool.
Do you feel you
Okay.
like you get lost in that identity is all?
No,
As
never.
Miss Pennsylvania?
No, it is a bit like getting into character because I have to do my full hair and makeup
Full
and get all
glam.
glammed up before I go. Correct.
Yes.
Yes. But no, I'm just me at the end of the day. So
Cool.
it's fun.
And you're a college student at
Yes.
Gannon.
Yes.
Pre-med.
Correct.
How's that going?
It's really good. I'm a senior, so I graduate in May. Thank God. It's almost over. I'm
Capstone projects?
Not yet, actually. I did my honors one on PCOS awareness, but I haven't done anything else yet for
What's
Gannon.
PCS awareness?
PCOS. Polycystic ovary syndrome. So I have polycystic ovary syndrome, so I do raise awareness for different women's health issues like that. And I wanted to do my research on holistic ways to treat polycystic ovary
awesome.
syndrome. Yes.
What have you found out?
So we do a lot in medicine that is more so throwing pills at people than actually solving their problems.
I agree.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, surprisingly, diet and exercise and nutrition and also acupuncture have been really good for people with PCOS. So that's something I've been trying to raise awareness for because so often I think doctors throw birth control pills at anything from acne to PCOS to endometriosis without actually treating the root cause. And I think that's something we need to get away from.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that all of our whole medical system kind of needs an overhaul in that regard.
It really
because
does.
Health and nutrition, it should be like the first thing in any situation that you do. You know what I mean? Like, are
Yes.
you working out? Are you getting sun? Are you
Absolutely.
eating hyper-processed foods and fast food all the time?
Right.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, there's so much that we can solve that way without adding medication. And then people tend to feel better because they're not having side effects at the same time.
Right. Plus, you get that internal reward of doing something good for yourself, I
Right.
think, which I think is incredibly valuable that a lot of people miss out on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you're operating at like 70% your whole life, you don't really know what it is to be like fully functioning. You know what I mean? If you're
That's
always
true.
dealing with inflammation, whether it's polycystic ovary
Syndrome.
syndrome.
Good job.
I was so close. Dang. I'm missing like one word at the end of everything. I'll
You're
get
doing
there
good.
eventually.
I remember like a couple years back, it was something totally different, but I went to my yearly exam and got my blood work, and they were like, well, your cholesterol's high. Want to put you on cholesterol medication? And I was like, could you give me like 3 or 4 months, try to knock things out on my own? They were like, yeah, sure, but it's really high. And like I changed my diet and I lost weight and I went back and they were like, wow, you're like okay. you
Yeah.
know? So personal
Experience.
testimony to that
Yeah.
being the way to go.
Cool.
Because you would have been on medication for the rest of your life for your cholesterol when you can really just fix that on your own with nutrition and stuff. And I think we should really start there rather
Right.
than giving people prescriptions all the time.
And I think women's health is a very interesting and important topic that's often overlooked because there's always the old anecdotal. I feel like women's health is severely downplayed, especially by men and doctors and the medical practice.
Yes.
And they need strong advocates that can fight for them and take them seriously before the problem gets too severe that, you're stuck with something like needing surgery or medication or whatever it is that's going on.
Yes. So funny enough, with my polycystic ovary syndrome, it took them 7 years to get me a diagnosis, and I was passed from doctor to doctor. And at the end of that 7 years, they ran my blood work finally after I pretty much said, I'm not leaving until you order a blood panel. And the results of that were that I either had PCOS or a brain tumor in the pituitary gland. And I was like, you're really telling me that you missed a potential tumor for
Right.
7 7 years. That's so bad. So that kind of pushed me to want to go into medicine. So I'm actually in an early acceptance program with LECOM to become a doctor of osteopathic medicine when I'm done with undergrad.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
Congratulations. Did you know what was going on before they did?
Yes, I did.
Absolutely.
I knew years before they did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, this is what I have, and nobody seems to want to listen.
That's basically what I said to every doctor. And eventually I was like, I want you to run these tests and maybe transfer me to an endocrinologist and we'll go from there. And I was right. And I think so often when patients do their own research, they do know what's going on. And I think it's important that we listen to people because you know what you're dealing with in your body.
Right. And I think that people's own personal research is highly undervalued.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, people make fun of it, like, oh, you're a research now, you're a WebMD doctor or whatever it is, when really that stuff is important, you know what I mean? And everybody should have education, especially if there's something going wrong with their body. They should want to understand and know what's happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And osteopathic medicine is, I think, a little bit more nutrition and health based, correct? As
Yes.
compared to an MD.
So they learn both allopathic and osteopathic medicine. So that's a little bit of a misconception in the medical industry, actually, too, where people don't know that osteopathic doctors do actually learn everything that MDs learn as well. But they're going to be more likely to also ask you about your lifestyle habits and your nutrition and exercise and those things that we've all agreed are very important.
Absolutely. And what's your end game goal? Do you want to be a family doctor, OBGYN?
I'm interested in so many different things, but I think right now I really want to dual specialize in endocrinology and gynecology because that's not a combination I've heard before. And I know at least for people with PCOS, it's so important to blend the two so you can really understand women's health and hormones working together.
And I think it's so important too, like you were talking about the personal research, and I think it's so, well, I know for a fact, it's so important in this life to be your own, you know, the strongest advocate for yourself. But it's also an extremely valuable thing to have somebody who's a professional that is also a strong advocate for issues people might be facing. Like, that's not to say that people who don't go through things themselves can't, you know, aren't helpful. But like, if it's something that's like you're extremely personally tied to and have had to advocate yourself, like that's an amazing attribute to have when working with patients.
Right.
Yeah. I think from that experience too, doctors who have had to fight for themselves as patients probably are more apt to listen to their patients when they have to come in there and push for themselves because no one has listened. And unfortunately, that's such a common story that people have.
Absolutely. Very sad. So on top of med school, well, pre-med school, med school in the future, you do beauty pageants. Well, you do
I
Miss
do.
Earth USA.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what all goes into that.
So I will compete for the title of Miss Earth USA in January from the 2nd through the 5th. On the 5th, we will have the preliminary competition, and up to 15 semifinalists will be named, and those 15 semifinalists will compete on a TV show that will air on the Queen Beauty Network. It'll be called Pretty Down to Earth, and it'll be a reality TV series.
Wow.
So if you've ever seen the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders or America's Next Top Model, something very similar to that.
That's
which
exciting.
I'm really excited about. But I think the great thing about that is that with a pageant, if you total it up, the judges maybe get to see you for 5 minutes on average in an entire weekend of competing, from your interview to your onstage stuff. So with a TV show like this, they really get to evaluate everything and get to know us. And I love that we have more time to be competing, really.
And how did you get to this level?
It's been a long road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started competing 5 years ago as a teen. I was 16 when I did my first pageant. I happened to have a pageant mom, so she competed when she was a teenager and a little bit in her 20s too. So I have sort of a live-in coach and nutritionist and someone who's been there and understands living in my house. So that's such
It's
a
probably
great support to
difficult
have.
too. Like, well, not really having a coach like in your house and your mom, I'm sure that's great. But I feel like there's certain challenging aspects to that.
I think there's a lot of stereotypes that are associated with that. Like
Yeah,
when you
maybe
hear
that's
the
what it
words
is, sure.
pageant mom, you probably picture something that's not really
Like
how
yelling,
my
like,
mom
"Oh my
interacts.
God, blah,
Yes.
blah."
And you know what? I'll be honest, I've seen that, but that's not the interaction that we have, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we really have enjoyed this as a team, and it's fun
Cool.
because it's something that we get to do together that we're both passionate about, and she's also my personal stylist, so she'll get up at like 2 a.m. and not be able to sleep and be on her computer shopping for me. And then in the morning, she'll be
Fun.
like, I got your interview outfit. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Thank
Nice.
you. Yeah, that's very convenient.
One less
So-
thing on your plate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, really. And that's been so helpful while I've been a pre-medical student to have somebody there to pick up the slack when I'm competing when I just can't.
Yeah, because school is, I mean, it's a full-time thing for
It's
sure.
intense.
And doing other activities definitely adds on to that. So you started your first pageant when you were 16. Was it a
Yes.
Miss Earth pageant, like a teen Miss Earth?
It
Or
was not. This was my first time competing as Miss Pennsylvania Earth in the Earth system. So this is my first exposure to this brand, and I will say they are without a doubt my favorite I have ever worked with.
Yeah?
They have really invested everything back into the contestants. So my experience has been these Zoom calls with free coaching and coaches offering additional sessions for free. That's never happened in my career. That does not happen. You do not get free stuff. Pageantry is very expensive, and they've really been super supportive. Like if
awesome.
you need help deciding which headshot you want to use, just send us an email. I've never had that interaction before. So they've been very helpful, and you can tell that they really care about us, and that's such a good feeling to have going into a competition.
do you feel close with the other girls that are competing?
I haven't gotten to meet anyone yet, so I'll get to see everybody in Orlando, but I am really excited to meet everyone, and I think it's going to be a good time for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Orlando's fun. And a lot of people that are interested or doing the same thing always have a lot to talk about and to share about
Yes.
and shared experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah, I will say in pageantry, you're always meeting other women who are just as passionate about personal growth and being their best selves. And it's so motivating to be around a class of people who are also excited about that transformation.
Right. Because there's a lot other than just beauty in a beauty pageant, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's like 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a makeup artist. You know, everyone's pretty. That's base level. You get there and you show up. You have to do the work.
Right.
And you have to come in there and kill that interview, and you have to do your community service. And so much of it is your resume and your confidence and that authenticity.
Right.
So you
Like
can't
if you
just
weren't
come
going
in
to
there.
school, you wouldn't be able to compete, right?
I could, but I feel a lot more confident with the career that I have
Yeah,
and the
it
education
goes into
that I
that
have, and that's a
resume,
part
you
of
know
it.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And that interview and that
Yes.
personality.
Yes,
You
for
can't
sure.
just be sitting at home looking pretty and not doing anything.
Correct.
Like you don't have to be
Yeah.
in school, but if you were like, I'm just like if you were just like super active in your community or
Right.
something, yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's different, but you do have to have that involvement. They have to see that you care about something other than just wanting to wear a sparkly hat, because that's just one little piece of it.
Right. So you mentioned community service.
Yes,
That's like a big part of this.
that is a big part of this.
What's your community service? What are you doing?
I do a lot of different things. So for
Okay.
this pageant, my project is, I haven't launched it yet. It's the Microplastic Awareness Project. So
Awesome.
there are microplastics in everything we eat and everything we drink all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's
if you-
bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
I want to make the switch.
Oh, this is glass.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, you're good,
Yeah,
you're good.
metal.
I saw you gave me the look like, oh no.
I want to
We're
get
so
rid of
good.
like all of my Tupperware and all of my plastic stuff
yeah.
in my house. I just
It's
haven't
scary.
like been able to do it because there's so many bad things, especially like reproductive health in general. In phthalates are super, super bad for you.
Yes. The last thing I saw was that they're most concerned about liver cancer and liver tumors. So
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes with the research, because I know at this point it's gotten so bad we don't even have a control because there are microplastics in literally everything.
Yeah, our
Yes.
water. And that's what my friend told me because I was talking about this with one of my retired professor friends who's pretty big on health and does a lot of research and still studies a lot of things. And he's like, dude, it doesn't even matter. You can get rid of all the plastic stuff in your house, never use plastic bags anymore. It's still going to be in all your food. It's still going to be in all your water.
I just recently saw something that was like, it was either the saliva or like the breath or something of dolphins having like plastics in it, you know, like affected by
sad.
microplastics.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's very sad. Sorry to make things sad, but
As if the
literally-
dolphins don't have a hard enough time with like can rings. Now they have plastic in their saliva and in their breath too.
I forget which one it is, but I was reading the article.
Probably
and I was
both.
like, oh,
I
this
feel
is
like if
sad.
it's in one, it has to be in the other. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
microplastic awareness. Like, are you holding seminars? Are you
I hope
meeting
to.
with the people?
That's part of the goal. So that's one thing that I want to do. So that'll launch in the next couple of weeks, and that'll be my service project, and I'll be scored on that. And that's part of the competition, which
Wow.
is so cool. I love that they're scoring us directly on our community service instead of it being something that's just sort of considered. We get a numerical score for that.
That's important.
Yes.
And
Awesome.
what kind of outreach are you planning?
So I just did a beach cleanup a few weeks ago, and the international platform from the top down for Miss Earth is the environment. So as much involvement as I can do with the environment, that's what I'm aiming for. And then in general, I do a lot of other community service projects about every week.
Cool.
Yes.
So every week,
Yeah, it's busy.
I actually have a project that I want to do a cleanup for. I work, my job's really interesting, and I get to do a lot of different things and work with a lot of different people. And part of one of the people that I work with is in charge of sustainability, and they do cleanups every year all around Erie, up at Barron and stuff. And part of this project that I'm trying to launch or get funding for, it's already partially funded. It'll be mostly funded, but we really want to make this a beautiful project. And I can't really talk about a whole lot about it because I don't like to talk about work on here a whole heck of a lot. But one of the ways that I'm going to start building engagement and momentum around this project is by holding like a sustainability cleanup, because like we really want to beautify this one particular area and make it a usable, recreational, beautiful outdoor space. We want to build a park basically. We want to build like Frontier Park on
That's
the
so
east side
cool.
in Wesleyville Lawrence Park area. That's like my end game goal, my end game vision. And we already have it. It's going to be started soon. Maybe not soon. Soon in like my world is like a year or two. And
That's soon.
yeah, that's soon, right? Like the money's almost there, and it just needs to get like doled out, and we got to get construction and procurement and all of that other fun stuff. But before we like break ground, I want to do a cleanup to let people know like, hey, this is going to be a beautiful area around here. This is going to be something really nice, because I think that getting the community involved really helps build momentum, especially when we were working with government grants and government bodies. And if the people have representatives, whether they're state senate, state government, federal government, or whatever, and they see these people that are interested in it, they're more likely to help us fast track this project to where it needs to be. So outreach for that to me looks like talking to everybody in the local area that is part of like an organization. So churches, YMCAs, athletic boards, historical societies, different groups, anybody that I can find to try and help me spread like a grassroots movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is something that is new to me in this position, and something that I just realized that I could do actually recently when I went to a conference. And I think that's huge in the success of any big project or any big local movement, is like that community outreach piece, and it's often overlooked, and it's hard to do kind of.
Yeah, for sure. It is hard. I think you have to have those connections and be able to get yourself in the door first. And one
Right.
thing we talk about in pageantry is the sparkly hat is really just a key to get in, to talk to whoever you need to talk to
That's
make
awesome.
a difference.
That's a sweet key.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's heavy, I will say that.
It looks like it should be heavy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge. I don't know if you guys can see it on here.
Yeah,
Like,
I
check
can
it
take
out.
it out. You can. do a little.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
excited.
Dave.
Yeah.
You should probably wear it.
Yeah.
You probably can't wear it. It's probably illegal. Only Miss
I
Pennsylvania
would
can wear
I
it.
would not want, like, I have a little bit of anxiety. I would not want the anxiety involved with it, even if it was a possibility.
You know what? It's kind of bulletproof. I'll be honest.
Yeah?
I haven't had any issues.
Have you
with
dropped it?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't listen to that. Anybody out there, judges?
See,
Yeah.
see,
yeah.
I'd
At
be
home.
like,
It was an accident.
I'd be like, this is bulletproof, you know, this is like cool. And put it on and it's just immediately shatters.
Just breaks
like,
into 1,000 pieces.
It's metal. It's pretty sturdy. I mean, I wouldn't throw it somewhere, but
No, that's probably not it.
it's okay.
But
yes.
if it falls off a countertop, it's
If-
probably going to be all right.
if there's an accident, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty safe, I think. Yeah,
So how do you find projects every week?
Mostly looking for things at Gannon because
Okay,
Gannon
yeah.
has a lot of service projects that are available, and then Miss Earth USA also has their own events that come up often.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of stay in the loop with what's going on.
Right. Are they around here?
Yes, a lot of them. So the beach cleanup, that was something I did on my own, and then I know we're doing a donations drive for the Mercy Center for Women.
Oh,
so
awesome.
that's
They're
coming
great.
up in about a week. Yes, yes. So I'm excited for that too.
Cool. So lots of projects, school, beauty pageantry, all of this stuff. It seems like this probably takes up, like, this is like a serious part of your life.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of time. Yeah. I like doing it though, and I think there's a lot of balance in being a biology pre-medical student and doing pageantry because one is sort of a break from the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that biology in itself is all revolving around balance in its own way.
Yes.
You know
so
what I mean?
interesting. Yes.
Positive and negative and chemicals coming together.
What's homeostasis?
Homeostasis.
There we
Good
go,
job.
dude.
Yes.
You nailed it. Biology back in, I don't know, 9th grade, I think.
No, I mean, I took it in college at Penn State too, but yes, it's been a little while.
I did not take biology at Penn State. I did not have to, so I was staying away. Did what I had to do. But
I
it
understand.
is really interesting, and I kind of wish I did, looking back on it now, because it interests me a lot more as I've gotten older and become more health conscious and more aware of things. And back then, I was kind of not really, I wasn't super invested in school at the time. I just wanted to pass and go on to
Yeah.
the next big thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, are you excited to be starting med school? Are you worried? Are you concerned? Is the pageantry gonna like continue through that? Because like pre-med is one thing for sure, but like actual med school seems like an entirely different animal.
Yes. So I will be retired when I go into medical school. I will be focused on that for at least the 4 years that I am there. So the crown will go on the shelf, and I'll just go.
Do you
to
get to
school.
keep it?
I do.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
This one's mine.
They make a new one next year,
Yes.
and hopefully a bigger one when you win Miss Earth.
It's similar. It's a little bit different in the shape.
Okay.
Yes.
Very
but
cool.
Kind of same style going on as far as the shape.
And I know, like, because I did photos and made that video for you for
Yes.
Labor Day, and one of the things we talked about was that you were the first Miss Pennsylvania from Erie in 25 years.
Did my mom
I think your
tell
mom
you
told me that. Yeah. Yeah, your mom
Yeah.
told me that.
I didn't know that.
What?
Actually, that's funny to know. Wow. I think the pageant has been around for 25 years because this is our silver.
So you're like the
25th
first one ever.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Putting
Just
Erie on the
finding
map.
that out. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's really funny. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very interesting, and I think that it's always good for me, and I think good for like Erie in general to see people coming out of Erie and doing things that are exciting and succeeding. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so underrated here. I
And
think.
did you go to school here?
I did. I
Other
went
than
to Mercy
college?
Hurst
Okay.
Prep for high school, and then I go to Gannon now, and then I'll go to Lee Common Erie. So
You're like
Very
Erie based.
hometown.
You're like not
Yeah.
trying to leave.
not really, not at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm busy. I got stuff to do.
Oh, I feel you, and I think that's part of the reason why I stayed. I had like various options to move around and stuff like that. I did move away for a little bit, like fresh out of high school, and then came back. But there have been opportunities, and I could always pick up and leave and find another job in another city. But this is where all my friends are. This is where all my family is. This is where I know people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the things that's really kept me here, because Erie's small enough that you can build like these close-knit connections and build these and be a part of these small communities that are so important and so interesting.
Yes. I know one of the points that my biology professors try to hammer in is that Presque Isle actually gets more tourism than, I'm pretty sure it's Yellowstone.
No way.
They compare it
Whoa.
to. It does. And I was very surprised by that information.
Do you know how many people come?
I don't.
I feel like it's
it was a
between
lot.
1 and 10 million,
It's a lot.
somewhere around there.
10 million.
Yeah.
God, that's a high number.
It's a high.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a high
ridiculously high number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because there's like everything here. You can go hunting, you can go fishing. We have the beaches. Everything is so pretty. We have the third best sunsets in the world. There really is a lot to do here. And I think it's taken for granted by people who are local a lot of the time.
yeah.
How much do you go to Presque Isle? How much do you go to Presque Isle each
Yeah,
year?
all the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
What about you?
More than 10.
I'm about more than 10 too.
Oh, wow. I like running there.
Yeah.
So I'll go and work out on the beach. That's really fun.
I am not much of a runner, but I do
I
like to
understand.
I do like to lift weights and go to the gym and do the sauna, and I do cold plunges during the winter. But
that's terrible.
running just doesn't. Yeah,
That
it
sounds
sucks.
awful.
That's
Why do
usually,
you do it?
It's super good for you. You literally feel like King Kong for about 4 days afterwards.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the medical or like psychological benefits are huge, like very, very big. If you have some free time and you're interested, do some research into it,
Okay.
because it's very beneficial to your health and your mental well-being. And I think that it is, for me, it is also a form of tolerance building.
Okay.
So in my own way, in my head, like if I can stay in the creek that's near here when it's snowing outside for 3 minutes, a lot of the other stuff in my life does not seem as bad. You know what I
Exposure
mean?
therapy.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
it's tolerance building. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I have this big project at work. I'm going to be putting in extra hours or working extra hard or whatever. But like, is that really as bad as putting myself in a frozen pool for 2-3 minutes?
And I have
No, not really.
I have something similar I do. Like I like going around. It's a totally different, theory or whatever, but I like going around neighborhoods. That's where I like to get my exercise in, but it's because I want to see as many dogs and cats as I possibly can in this lifetime, because that brings me joy,
Right.
like,
That's
so I
entirely fair.
get if I get a little like cat run up on me and get a little pet session in, like that, I'm like, things are cool, everything's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to Andrew Huberman, who also has a podcast. He's like a doctor from Stanford, and he talks about this particular part of our brain that is often underused, that only activates when we do stuff that we don't want to do. And it makes doing stuff that we don't want to do a lot easier each time we kind of exercise this part of our brain. So it's building my willingness to do those things that are uncomfortable and that we don't want to do, because I feel like that is and maybe this is a very pessimistic view, but most of the things in my life, I'd say probably 80-70% of the things are things that I don't particularly want to do.
I thought you were going to say 87%. And I was
No.
like, you've thought about
Not
this.
87, but
very
like 70 to
specific.
80% are probably things that I don't want to do. Like, and I mean, maybe that's just really pessimistic. Like, I love my job, but if they weren't paying me, I probably would not be doing it. You know what I mean?
Fair.
I love going to the gym and I love the benefits that I don't love going to the gym and working out, but I do love the benefits that I receive from going to the gym. Yeah. Same with the polar plunge. It's not really something I look forward to or something that's super pleasant and makes me feel good, but afterwards it does make me feel good. You know what I mean? It provides me with a lot of good brain chemicals that make me feel better for the next few days. Same with like meditation, something that I don't particularly want to do a lot of the time, but I know that the benefits are worth it. And I think that finding that short-term discomfort often yields long-term happiness. And being able to get through those things that I don't want to like in an easier way benefits me tremendously and makes me want to do them, because there was like definitely a time in my life where I didn't really do a whole lot of anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go through that where they feel stagnant or feel lost or don't have a drive or a purpose. And having that purpose, or being able to accept that purpose or find that purpose, or go through those uncomfortable situations to reveal that purpose, are incredibly important, and something that a lot of people, I think, are missing in general. But maybe that's also a pessimistic view on things. Maybe a lot of people are feeling fulfilled, but I think societally at large, there are a lot of people that are kind of lost.
Yeah. I think building new habits is really hard for people. Like, everyone wants to start working out. Everyone wants to take care of their mental health. And it's something that you say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then all of a sudden 5 years have gone by and tomorrow never came.
Right.
Yeah. So I think one of the great things about pageantry too is it gives people that motivator to just get started, just do it, because you have to. There's a deadline, there's a competition coming up, and you have to put that work into yourself.
And you want to compete and you want to do well. You know what
Right.
I mean? So you have to go run. You have to go to the gym. You have to
Exactly.
do your community service projects and these other things that fulfill and enrich your life. Do you think that pageantry has fulfilled and enriched your life?
Yes, absolutely. I think it does that for anyone who competes. I've never heard the opposite, actually.
Really?
Because, yes, it's the type of thing where you're so motivated to go and put that work into yourself. All of those goals that you've always had, you have to go achieve them. So you end up liking yourself a lot more after you've put that work in, and then you see this huge confidence growth, and people really change as a result of it, but in a good way. You
Sure.
know? Like, you just feel more yourself and more authentic and more confident by the end of it.
That's awesome.
Does it have the same effect if you don't win your
Yes.
pageant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
It-
have you lost before?
Of course.
I feel like
I
that
didn't
was a
want to
silly
ass-
question. Everybody lost, but you won
Everyone
Miss
loses.
Pennsylvania your first
Everyone
time.
loses.
Maybe
Yes.
you're on a huge winning streak. I don't
For
know.
for the record, I didn't want to assume like you've lost before, you know, like
Right.
it was just, yeah.
Everyone loses at
Yeah.
some point. And I think that's the other great thing is it does teach you how to handle rejection, because pageantry, if you win, it's all about what you put on stage and your interview and your resume and who you are as a person and that visual that you bring. And so if you do lose, it can be taken very personally.
Oh, sure.
And yes, you have to learn to be there for yourself and your own growth, and your goals have to be about beating the person that you were yesterday, not about beating everybody else there. So I think mindset is a huge thing, and I think pageantry has made me better at dealing with stress because I've had to handle those rejections
Right, yeah.
before.
Tolerance
And
building.
yeah, it helps so much.
I think that you know, like athletics or any endeavor where you have to do those sort of things is extremely beneficial. I mean, when there's a direct competition, like you win or you lose, you know? So like there's so much in life if you're not doing those things, even if you like fall short a little bit, it's easy to surround yourself with people that love you and aren't trying to hurt you, but they like give you excuses to, you know, maybe not do better. But when you have like a direct competition, like you're playing a sport or you're doing a pageant or whatever, it's not like you win or you lose. And then you have to get better if you want to win.
Right. You got to keep pushing yourself.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think seeing other people do well also has its own motivating factor. And watching people do poorly has its own motivating factor in its own way as well. But like I've always been told, you know, surround yourself with the winners, the people that are doing well, the people that are where you want to be and where you are today and have same goals. And I think that finding other people that are working hard and are driven and are going for these same things kind of builds a sense of camaraderie and like a healthy rivalry with other people.
I haven't experienced the healthy rivalry part. I will say that. I never played a sport. I was a dancer for 15 years, and then I went into pageantry after an injury, and I couldn't dance anymore. So that was kind of my pipeline, but it was good in the end. I'm glad that I do this now. I think in pageantry, we're all so supportive of each other. At the end of the day, I'm just as happy for the girl that won as if it were me, really. And that's so cool because I don't think you see that anywhere else, and that's not what anyone expects pageantry to be. They think that we're all out to get each other, and at the end of the day, it's
cutthroat.
like, I have 50 brand new best friends. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I think that I agree with you in a lot of ways that people don't really have a lot of encouragement, especially when you're competing with each other, especially in like the business world, you know what I mean? And I think that from all of the different entrepreneurs and business owners that we've had on this show, that Erie in its own way has a very special business like community that the feast or famine mentality is not there so much. It's more like there's plenty of food at the table. Let's all eat together. You know what I mean? And if we all work together, we'll be able to have more.
I know I can count on one hand. We've had quite a few people on that are entrepreneurial or very artistic or whatever. I can count on one hand stories we've heard off the record of people having those cutthroat stories. Yeah. I mean, just like anything, there's a small percentage or whatever, but it's just like, you know, so much inclusivity, you know, so much helping each other. Like 50 best friends that, you know, are also great, you know, social connections is a wonderful thing to have.
Yeah. Especially when you're all working together, all in the same field and can learn from each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm always excited to see that even if we're not on stage in the top 5, we're in the wings clapping for those girls.
Yeah.
So it's great that we're always still there for each other no matter what. And I really have seen very few moments of animosity between pageant girls. Yeah. It's very uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had like a sad moment where you were like disappointed? Like where you didn't win? Yeah. Because I'm sure it's like, yes, I'm happy for you, but also it's like, dang, I worked so hard to get here and didn't.
That does happen. The first time I ever competed is really the only time that I felt sad, I would say. I went backstage to get my stuff, and I was 3rd runner-up, and I had this little glass award for it, and I sat it on the floor, and I sat down, and I started packing up my stuff, and my mom was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I failed." And she was like, "You didn't fail? You did so good. What do you mean? This was your first pageant. This was a state competition. You were top 5. You did amazing. We're so proud of you." And you just kind of learn to deal with that. And I looked at it differently, and I grew from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. That's such an important key because so many people want to give up after that, I think.
Yes, a lot of people do. And that's one of the things that I always aim to address backstage, because I run into a lot of girls who are competing for the first time, and they're nervous and they're scared and they're dealing with rejection. And I try to walk them through that because it's the type of thing where you have to push yourself to be your best self. And as long as you did that, you have to be okay when you leave, no matter what happens. Because different judging panel, different day, that could have gone really differently. At the end of the day, there is a lot of personal preference in it. And you could have been just as good as somebody else. And it just is what it is.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's really important to have that support. And I think there's something really interesting about human beings and us really secretly unwilling to admit that we love rejection and we love being hurt and tortured in that way.
I don't know if I agree, but
no, I mean, like, I feel like there's certain things where you're rejected and it makes you want to try harder, and then you're rejected again, and you get that feeling.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't really like
following that.
You don't really like love it. It's not like, oh, I love being hurt. I love my efforts being dashed to the ground. But there is something in there. Maybe it's not love, or maybe it's not good feelings, but it makes us want to try again.
Yeah. I think you're your worst critic, and I think the best thing that we can do is go back and look at that video after the competition. And as long as you can see all the things that you wish you had done better, you're in a good place.
Sure.
You have to be able to level with yourself
So you watch your pageants back?
every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Yes.
We
And
do
I-
that with this podcast too.
Really?
It's
Oh,
super,
that's fun.
well, I can't say that I do it as much as I used to. I used to watch every single one. We're on episode like 124 now.
Wow.
So early on, I would watch every single one, and Dave would watch every single one. And I think I personally, I can't speak to Dave. I don't know if he watches every one still, but I probably watch 50%, 60%, maybe 40% of the episodes that we record. But I think that it's super important to review your work. You know what I mean?
I definitely still watch too. And it's interesting because when we first started this, I gritted my teeth and bared
Yeah, it was
through
awful
it.
to watch
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah, watch myself. I'm like, man, I at first I hated hearing my voice, you know, because like when I talk, like I can hear it a little bit now, but when I like talk to you or I talk to you, I'm like, I sound all right or I sound cool or whatever. But the first time I watched it back, I was like, this is
yeah.
what you sound like. Like
Oh, yeah.
everything is ruined, you know?
That first time watching a competition back is always hard because I find 100 different things that I wish I had done differently. And then by the 10th time I watch it, I'm like, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. Okay.
That was kind of the same with our movie
Yeah.
too.
Our movie too, yeah,
Paranormal,
for sure.
yeah. We made like a short movie called Paranormal, and I think I pieced it together the first time, or I had like a rough cut, we'll say, and I watched it the whole way through, and we have like a group chat with all of our actors and all the people that were involved in creating it, and I'm like, guys, I hate the movie, and it's horrible, and it sucks, and everybody's like, what? How did that happen? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, actually, it's probably fine. I just am very critical, and it's very hard to watch something that I created after the first time. And I think after like the third or fourth, like by the time we actually had like our private showing for all the people that were involved in creating it, I was actually like very happy with how it all turned out.
Agreed. The first he saw it because he did all the post production.
Yeah, I edited everything and put it all together and all that stuff. And there were a lot of things that needed changed from that rough cut to the final version as well.
So he saw it, you know, a lot more as he was putting it together, but I was the first one that saw it after him putting it together, and like we sat together and watched it, and right down here, right at the end of this table. And after the first time we watched it, we both just kind of like sat there for a couple minutes, you know, like
Just in silence.
just a
Like-
silence, like
This is what we did.
what have we done, you know?
Right.
But it was good. It was a good learning experience.
Yeah, and people when we premiered it, everybody really liked it. It was very well received. We got lots of compliments about it. It's up to 4,100 views as of like a couple hours ago. So, I mean, people are watching it, people like it, people are enjoying it. Yes, there are a lot of things that we are going to change the next time we make something like that, and we're going to do a much better job. But for our first attempt, like it's fantastic. We did a great job, especially having no experience and never doing anything like that before. Really,
It was literally our first rodeo.
our first rodeo.
Yeah, maybe not literally. It wasn't a rodeo.
It wasn't a rodeo, but well, sometimes it felt like a rodeo, getting everybody together and on task.
I did certainly feel like a clown a few times. So yes,
Of course,
That's fair.
yeah,
Yeah. But you get to grow from that. So
Exactly.
it's good. It's productive, at least. Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's so important to review everything. That's like one of my rules for this year. It was my birthday. I'm 105 years old this year, and
Congratulations.
thank you. I look great for 105.
Yeah.
So I'm told. But one of my rules for this year was that I should double check all of my work, because I often don't do that. You know what I mean? You type
Oh,
something
okay.
out and you send out the
Not
email.
that person.
You double check everything.
Five times. 5 times.
I
Yep.
need to get that
Yeah.
instilled.
Yeah. I had a a chem teacher in high school, and she was very specific about how she wanted us to do chemistry calculations on paper.
Oh, those are so fun.
I had to check it so many times because I was missing little points for formatting stuff, and I was like, I can't not get an A in this class. I'm that perfectionist who has to do
Right.
it 10 times to make sure it's perfect before I send it in. So,
Yeah, I wish that would have been a practice that a habit that I instilled in myself much earlier. It probably would have served me very well throughout my life. But it's never too late to make improvements, you know what I mean? So I'm at least double checking everything, you know what I mean, to make sure it's all good. Because I fall into lazy habits for sure. And we'll send misspelled words. Dave knows he has to proofread a lot of the stuff that I write for this podcast anyway.
It's one of the big pet peeves for me, just because I went to school for English. That's what I got my degree in. So like, I joke around, about it, but those misspelled words.
Like,
Commas, all that stuff.
I'm like, all of my training was to correct this. You know what I'm saying?
My short time out of school has definitely dramatically deteriorated my grammar and writing skills.
yeah. So me as a STEM major, I hardly ever have to read anything unless it's a textbook. So I set this habit for myself in the summer that I'm going to read a new book every
cool.
month. Yes.
Did you do it?
A little bit.
Oh,
I
better
read
than nothing,
one.
though. You read
Yeah,
one. That's good.
I read one, and it was really good. So
What
maybe
did you
I'll
read?
another one. I read Utopia by Heidi
Oh.
Sapinka. It's about feminism in the art industry in
Oh,
the
very
70s.
interesting.
It was really interesting.
cool.
Yeah, I picked it up at a recycled bookstore in Texas, and yeah, it took me a few months to finish it, but it was really good. I kept putting it down though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that'll happen. It takes time. Reading is its own dedication and discipline, unless you're Dave, who just reads all the time.
I read all the
'Cause he's a
time.
nerd.
I'm a
Just
nerd.
kidding.
I'm a
It's a
nerd.
fun
It's
thing
okay.
to
No,
do,
it's a good
though.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of books on tape anymore.
Yeah.
That's my new, not favorite thing, but one of my new ways that I have a nice little background music or whatever going on. Instead of putting on some song or Spotify or whatever, I'll put on a book on tape when I do the dishes or whatever chore that I have going on. But reading is important, I think, and it's a very undervalued skill. And I think that I read something recently that like the latest or youngest generation, probably your generation, the Zoomers, no?
I'm Gen Z, but upcoming is Gen Alpha.
Gen
so
Alpha.
not the
Alpha.
youngest
Okay.
anymore.
Anymore. The
More.
alphas have read like less books than any
Yeah.
like generation ever before them.
Yeah. I'm sad about that.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. Never mind.
I fe-
Yeah, American probably for sure. I was about to nitpick, but don't. We're good.
You say
We're good.
other countries read more than we do, probably.
No, not countries. I think if you just go, oh my god, I am a nerd. I'm a nerd. Nerd alert coming up.
Here we go. Give it to
because
me.
I was just talking to a friend about this, like before Gutenberg and the invention of the press, it was a very like elitist thing to have the educational background to be able to read. So that's what I was going to say. If you go far enough back, probably not as much in American history, but if you go like 700 years back, there was a lot less people reading.
That we're reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. But in current era, I'd say that probably the alphas are definitely the least well read, which is, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. If I should be happy for them or if I should, I feel sad for them personally, but I don't know if that'll end up being a net positive for them societally or their generation as a whole, or if it'll be bad because it's impossible to predict the future. And people said all sorts of things about us that I don't think are true. The millennials, we're the laziest generation. We're this, we're that. It's like, it's just typical dialogue that the next youngest generation is somehow messing things up and not going to be as good as the older generation.
Yeah.
So
That
I feel like
seems to
they'll
be the
probably
pattern.
be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that they might run into is that they're going to be the most comfortable with technology and being able to just say whatever on the internet whenever compared to any other generation, and not having that extra media literacy sounds a little dangerous to me. So I hope we can turn that ship around a little bit sooner rather than later. I would like to see them reading more just in case. I don't want to find out that it's bad, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I feel like the safe bet is to read a little bit more. And I think that there's an interesting level of discipline or self-censorship. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you don't say certain things around certain people, or, you know, having that respect in a conversation with another person rather than just shooting off whatever it is that your authentic self wants to say, which being your authentic self is important, and I don't mean to say that flippantly, but I feel like it can also be used as an excuse in certain ways.
Yeah. Being authentic is not speaking without thinking.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
Right.
Yeah. You have to filter yourself for sure.
Right. And when people say, "Oh, I'm brutally honest," it's one of my my least favorite pet peeves, because
Me too.
Yeah, you're brutally honest, but honesty without compassion is brutality. So you're just being brutal. You're just being mean.
Right.
You can say those things in a way that's not going to be, that is kind and gentle and from your heart, rather than just rudely and abrasively, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very important to practice that, you know what I mean? Whether it's for a job interview or a beauty pageant interview or a podcast interview or any sort of social situation, you know, you need to know how to conduct yourself. And it's and I completely agree. It's really easy to be uninhibited when you are on social media.
Yes. Yeah. It's really easy to just type a comment and not have any accountability for it. So I hope they read more.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Is that something that you deal with? I know you have like a massive following on Instagram.
No, actually, it's been pretty nice. There have been very few things that have been left in my comment section that I've had to delete, but I do delete things that I consider to be harmful, because I just want to make sure that my Instagram account is a safe place for me and for everybody else. So
Sure.
I'm not going to leave anything out there that's pessimistic or mean.
Yeah. So you do go through them?
I do. I see every single comment.
Wow.
Yeah.
And delete the ones for all the haters and all the naysayers out there. If any of you are watching, stay away. Be nice, people.
There aren't any. Really.
Yeah, honestly, there
it's
weren't
nice.
any. Because I was tagged in a few, or a collaborator in a few, and nobody ever said anything rude. You have a very nice
usually.
Instagram following.
Yeah, they're so friendly.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right. It's very cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I think I got up to like 80% female.
That's
on my
wild.
following. I'm really pushing it. I'm trying.
I feel like
super
that's
cool.
The opposite of what I would expect.
Yeah. It used to
Coomers
be the
out there?
opposite for a while, and I was getting some really weird comments, and yeah, I think you can block people if you're uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
a big supporter of that.
I block
for
people
sure.
all the
They
time
can
on all
have-
sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I don't really care if you have good intentions. That doesn't belong on a public forum
Yeah,
ever.
right? No,
Yeah.
totally. That's incredible, though. 80% is wild.
It's nice.
That's a good number.
We're like
like it.
50-50.
We're about
That's
50-50.
good. That sounds about
We're
right.
actually like slightly skewed male. I think around like less than 60, like between 50 and 60% male audience and 40 to 50% female audience. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
It is
That's a
pretty
good balance.
Yeah, and we have a good balance of male and female guests. We
Yeah.
probably skew a little bit more male as well there, but we have a lot of strong, empowered women such as yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first one with a beautiful crown, though.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
one with a crown.
I'm
Congratulations.
honored. Thank you.
This is the first time for this show, so
Yeah. This is my first podcast, so I'm honored to be here.
awesome.
Thank you,
We're
guys.
Have you
very
enjoyed
glad
it?
to hear you.
I have. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know? Well, you probably don't know. I don't know if Tony's told you about this, but did you know there's two things that happened when this podcast started? First off, he always talks about this. He had a podcast before that he did with someone else, but we don't talk about this ever. But this is the perfect time to bring it up.
Okay.
I'm
interested. I don't know what he's going to say.
we were driving to a Wu-Tang Clan concert.
Okay, I remember this part.
And we eventually started talking about a podcast. It's actually two totally separate things, but Tony and I have been friends for a very long time, and we have a broad range of things that we discuss. And we were discussing who is the better dresser. And
Oh yeah, the dude off.
the dude off. The dude off. So like,
Yeah, where me and Dave were gonna have.
we were trying to see. So like, I'm a big reader, and I was telling him, you know, we had a few people in the car, but I was telling him, you know, the word dude used to be like a term that meant someone that was like highly sophisticated and like a very flashy, snazzy dresser. And like, I think
in
it
like
was
the
like
1920s.
in like the 1920s, teens, especially in like France, but
Really?
in America as well. And there was this like title called like the sartorial
Dudes.
King of the Dudes, the sartorial dude or whatever. And we had a little bit of a debate over who would win a dude off with each other. You know, who's
We even had it pseudo planned to go on at the Palooza, but we didn't really follow through.
we didn't follow through.
It's
And
okay. I would have won it anyway, though.
see, we're not going to discuss it, but but it's just so interesting. Like, that was the start of this conversation, and by the end, you know, we were talking about the podcast, and here we are. But like, I was just thinking about it because, you know, we were talking pageants and stuff. We still need to have our
We
dude
still need
off.
to have the dude off and
I need to see
determine
it.
who's the king
Can I
of the
judge?
dudes.
I'm
Yeah,
You can
gonna judge.
absolutely.
Please
Yeah.
invite me to judge. I'll be there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
You can be one of the judges of the dude off.
Okay.
There will be no decorum though. Like, we are gonna fight dirty.
Okay.
Yeah, I might accidentally spill a drink on Dave's white
Okay,
jacket or something
okay.
like that. You know what I mean?
So it's like the
yeah.
anti-pageant.
Exactly. We're just gonna be rude to each other, I guess.
Well, it wasn't like a run. Well, we've talked about like the, you know, the stage thing or whatever, but like the original story, just because I'm fascinated with history and I love to read. But like, they talked about the King of the Dudes, and they were like, one of the things that those people used to do was just like costume changes at like dinner parties and social events, and that this dude changed, or this dude, literal dude,
The king of the
the
dudes.
king of the dudes at the one party like changed outfits like 22 times in like a 3-hour. So we were like, we just need to like disappear and walk back in wearing different stuff. Like,
I was at a wedding a few weeks ago, and this guy changed outfits like 5 times. They were all like neon, different.
Was he in the wedding? Was he getting married?
No.
He
No,
just
he was
throwing
just
it-
there.
Just going for it.
Yeah, I have no idea who he was, but there were some good outfits.
Yeah, he killed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, he killed
Nice.
it.
Good.
It was very entertaining.
Good for him. I like
Yeah.
fashion and I like clothes.
I like fashion too. We have two very
We have two
different
different fashion
styles.
styles. Yeah.
But you are 100% going to be the guest of honor /
Okay.
judge at
you.
this dude off.
We need a
fun.
couple judges though.
We do need a
Okay.
couple.
We need to find a
Okay.
panel. It's okay. I'm sure some of our guests out there, if any of you are listening and interested in judging the dude off with Miss Pennsylvania, Haley here, let us know. We got to get something organized and eventually make it happen. Maybe spring, summertime. Maybe
Okay.
we should do the dude off. The original plan was to have the dude off at our 1 year Palooza. After we had been a podcast for 1 year, we were going to have the dude off there, and we ended up not doing that just because there was a lot of other stuff that we did. We ended up raising like $500 for Gadenzia, so good job everybody that came. Thank you all. It was like a year ago, so you guys all probably know this by now, but that was the original plan, was to have it there. So I think the next time we premiere a movie, we'll have the dude off there and we'll change outfits however many times we possibly can. Except it'll be dark, I guess. So we need to have like a pre and post
Glow in the
party.
dark.
We're-
Yeah.
Glow
That-
in the dark outfits.
There we
I,
go.
I just came up with an
For during the
idea.
movie.
I just came up with an idea. You hear me out on this.
Okay.
And this is a little bit of like cross promotion here.
Let him cook.
So this is what we're going to do. Our next movie premiere, part of the ticket package is going to be a post party that also includes the dude off, that also will include the wonderful Haley and a few other guests that you get to be a part of it and just
Take
you know,
in the dude off and
taking
cast your ballot.
taking the dude off. No, they don't get to cast a ballot. We need official judges.
Yeah, we can't just have random people.
But they get to be part of the dude off, and they get to watch one of us win. and one of us.
I don't remember what it was that the winner got. I feel like we had something figured out that the winner won.
It wasn't something that was like a lot of positive decorum behind it. So like,
No, it probably wasn't something great.
It probably wasn't something
It was
great.
probably more of a punishment for the loser.
I think it was more of a punishment. We're going to go the opposite way. You know, I'll lose the dude off and cry a little bit in public, and that'll be probably what happens. But that's a cross promotion. We'll all get together. We'll have our special judges, and it'll be something that you have to purchase exclusively.
Yeah.
Like Impractical Jokers style punishments.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. That would be so funny.
Well, I already got a
That'll be
tattoo
like
lined
the
up.
end of the party. That'll be how it closes out.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. It'll
Right.
be the post-movie, super exclusive, dude off party.
Yeah.
Okay.
You in?
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
I'm
Look
interested.
out for it next year.
Okay.
Haley, this has been super fun. Thank you so much for
Yes.
coming out and talking with us, telling us about being Miss Pennsylvania Earth. And, you know, this has been great. Thank you.
And also, congratulations for getting this far, and we
Yeah,
wish
for
you
real.
all of the
Amazing.
success moving
Thank
forward
you.
as
Yes.
well.
Thank
Orlando.
you so much for having me. And this has been a lot of fun. This is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with your dude off. I'm excited to hear
Well-
about how that goes.
Right, we'll let you know when as it develops.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Absolutely. And we'll keep our eye out for you winning Miss Earth in Orlando in January.
So, Miss Earth USA.
Miss Earth USA.
And you'll find out in July, actually.
Oh,
'cause,
okay. That's when
yeah,
the show will come out.
Right. So
Oh,
prelims
you have
are
to keep
in
it
January.
secret?
Well, no. I think it's live. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
live. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh,
but
prelims.
are in January, and then
Uh-huh.
if I'm in the semifinals, I'll be on the show. So we'll know about that in January, and then it comes out in May, and then the final competition is in July in the crowning. So we'll know then. It's almost a year from now.
It'll
Isn't
probably
that
be
crazy?
just in time for you to get back for the dude off
Right.
judgment.
The dude off. I know that's
funny.
I know that's now the most important thing on your schedule.
course,
Absolutely,
yeah.
So,
totally.
like-
Yeah, I'll clear my calendar right,
Right.
now.
Yeah,
Of
so
course.
we're gonna be looking at like end of July, beginning of August, because we're now manifesting a big W for Miss Earth USA.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're gonna all to get together for this magnificent
Right.
event.
If the people want to follow you, how do they do it?
Instagram, I'm Haley Grace Poe, and Facebook, it's also Haley Grace Poe. And if you want to follow my title account, it's Miss Pennsylvania Earth on Instagram and Facebook.
Amazing. Fantastic. Thank you, Haley, again for coming out. Thank all you people
Thank
for
you so
listening.
much.
Thanks to all our sponsors, all of our Patreon supporters. Y'all are amazing. Peace out.
Adios.
Later.